You remember this scene from the ending of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade? Well, it's a real place, and archaeologists have recently started excavating the site and found something pretty interesting.
For nearly 2,000 years, the story of a single cup has captured imaginations, inspired legends, and launched quests both real and fictional. The Holy Grail, supposedly the very vessel that Jesus Christ used during the Last Supper, the one that perhaps caught his blood at the crucifixion, has been depicted as everything from a rough wooden bowl to a jewel-encrusted goblet fit for a king. It's been the centerpiece of Arthurian legends, a prize for Indiana Jones, a metaphor for humanity's ultimate goals, and a tantalizing relic that countless seekers have claimed to find. And yet, through all the centuries of searching, the Grail has remained just beyond the grasp of certainty. But now, in the heart of Spain, two historians believe they may have traced its journey through history and found it, hiding in plain sight for nearly 1,000 years. The object in question resides in the Basilica of San Isidoro in the northern Spanish city of León, known for centuries as the Chalice of Doña Urraca. It is a stunning work of art, gold and onyx fused into a double goblet form, lavishly studded with precious stones. To casual visitors, it might have seemed merely an opulent medieval treasure, one of the many fine objects housed in the Basilica's museum. But for medieval history lecturer Margarita Torres and art historian Jose Miguel Ortega del Rio, it was the start of a mystery that would consume 3 years of research and lead them deep into the labyrinth of Mediterranean history. Their investigation began not with the chalice itself, but with Islamic artifacts in the basilica that lacked clear provenance. In 2010, while cataloging and studying these objects, the pair stumbled upon a clue: medieval Egyptian parchments preserved at Cairo's Al-Azhar University. These documents told an extraordinary tale. In the 11th century, during a time of famine in Egypt, the ruling caliph sought aid from allies. The Taifa, or ruler of Denia, a Muslim-ruled city on Spain's Mediterranean coast, answered the call, sending food to the starving people. In return, the caliph offered an object of immense significance: the cup that the Christians call the Cup of the Messiah, used during the celebration with his disciples. The story didn't end there. The ruler of Denia, aware of the volatile political climate and eager to strengthen ties with the powerful Christian king Ferdinand II of Leon, passed the relic on as a peace offering. According to the parchments, the cup had been brought from Jerusalem to Cairo, then to Denia, and finally to Leon. Along the way, it had suffered a small break, something noted in the documents and visible in the actual chalice of Doña Urraca. To Torres and Ortega del Rio, the match between the description in the parchments and the artifact in Leon was too precise to ignore. Scientific testing added further weight to their theory. The upper portion of the chalice, they determined, was made of agate and dated between 200 BCE and 100 CE, squarely within the time frame of the historical Jesus. It was also exactly the right size and style for a Jewish ritual Kiddush cup, which would have been used at the Last Supper. The lavish gold casing and gemwork, they believe, were added later by Doña Urraca herself, the daughter of Ferdinand I, who may have sought to honor the sacred relic by adorning it with her own wealth. In 2014, the two historians published their findings in Los Reyes del Grail, the Kings of the Grail, announcing to the world that the Holy Grail had been hiding in the Basilica of San Isidoro for nearly a millennium. The revelation caused an immediate sensation. Pilgrims and tourists flooded the basilica, forcing curators to remove the chalice from its display case until a larger viewing space could be arranged. Yet theirs was hardly the first such announcement in history. The Holy Grail, paradoxically, has been found countless times before. More than 200 goblets across Europe have been claimed as the real thing, from the silver Antioch chalice in the Metropolitan Museum of Art to the emerald green Sacro Catino of Genoa, from the Santo Calice in Valencia to cups said to rest in far-flung corners of Scotland, Latvia, or even the New World. Each candidate has its champions and skeptics. The Grail's very ubiquity has made it an object of fascination and doubt in equal measure. Part of the challenge is that the Bible itself barely mentions the cup at all. It appears in the accounts of the Last Supper, but without any hint of its later significance. The elevation of the Grail into a relic of miraculous power emerged centuries later in the Middle Ages, when Christian tradition and Celtic myth intertwined. French and British poets of the 12th and 13th centuries wove the Grail into the tales of King Arthur, the Knights of the Round Table, and the quest for a sacred object that could heal the sick and grant divine favor. By then, the Grail had transformed from a simple vessel into a mystical symbol, one as much about the spiritual journey as the object itself. That blurring of history and legend makes the work of proving a real-world Grail extraordinarily difficult. Even if a cup could be reliably dated to 1st century Jerusalem, linking it directly to Jesus is all but impossible. There are no inscriptions, no contemporary accounts describing its preservation, and centuries of war, trade, and religious upheaval have scattered and altered countless artifacts. For every scholar like Torres who sees compelling evidence in the chalice of Doña Urraca, there is another like Oxford's Martin Biddle who dismisses such claims as fanciful. The rival claimant closest to Leon is in Valencia, where the cathedral houses the Santo Caliz, another agate cup with a gold stem and handles, also dated to the ancient Mediterranean world. Valencia's curators trace its journey from Jerusalem to Rome, then to Spain in the 3rd century CE, where it eventually came into the possession of the crown of Aragon. Like Leon's chalice, it has been venerated for centuries, even used in mass by popes. Its advocates, such as art historian Dr. Anna Maffei, argue that it fulfills all historical and material criteria for the Grail, and that the weight of evidence, like twigs from a tree, makes it difficult to refute. Beyond these two Spanish contenders, the Grail's story has drawn in relics from every corner of Christendom. During the Crusades, knights returning from the Holy Land brought home countless artifacts said to be connected to Jesus' life and death, pieces of the True Cross, the Spear of Longinus, and inevitably cups. The sheer number of claimed relics became a source of both devotion and satire. As the saying goes, one could build a house from all the fragments of the True Cross in circulation. This mix of faith, legend, and opportunism has kept the Grail in the public consciousness for centuries. It has been a tool for political power, a driver of pilgrimage tourism, and a symbol of ultimate truth or purity in literature. For some, like Torres, the hunt is a matter of historical detective work, tracing artifacts through documentary evidence, material analysis, and provenance records. For others, it's a spiritual quest, a chance to connect, however tenuously, with the physical world of Jesus. And for many more, it's a story, a narrative that satisfies our deep human desire for mysteries that might still be solved. Whether the Holy Grail sits today in Leon, Valencia, Genoa, or nowhere at all may ultimately matter less than the fact that the search continues. As Professor Joanne Pierce points out, the Grail's significance may be more symbolic than literal, a cultural reality that speaks to the enduring power of faith and the human imagination. Even if the cup that Jesus held at the Last Supper was lost to history 2 millennia ago, the idea of it has shaped art, literature, and pilgrimage in ways that no single object could contain. In the end, the chalice of Doña Urraca is what so many Grail contenders have been, a beautiful ancient vessel with a story that stretches across continents and centuries. It has inspired belief, skepticism, and wonder in equal measure. Perhaps that is the real Grail, not a cup of gold or wood, but a mystery that bridges the gap between history and myth, between the known and the hoped for. And like the Knights of Arthur's Court, like the scholars and pilgrims of every age, we keep returning to the quest, not because we are sure of the prize, but because the journey itself refuses to let us go.